Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Param Brahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sabarimala temple, situated in the Sahya mountain range of Kerala, is a place of pilgrimage where largest number of devotees are coming every year and offering their devotion to Lord Ayyappa. But this year, actually a place of solace and serenity has been converted to a place of chaos and confusion, and hundreds of thousands of devotees are practically on the streets chanting the name of Lord Ayyappa and crying to maintain age-old custom and the purity of Sabarimala Sannidhanam. From so many angles, Sabarimala is being attacked, and devotees are praying and working for recapturing the actual serenity. Let us dwell a little on the history of Sabarimala and see what are the customs or systems which were prevailing there, and what happened to them, and what is happening at the present time. Sabarimala is a place where Lord Ayyappa is worshipped. Ayyappa is considered as an avatara, incarnation of Lord Dharmashastra. The term Ayyappa means Appa of 5 elements. That means the Lord of 5 elements. Elements: ether, air, fire, water and Prithvi. Ayyappa is called in Sanskrit Bhutanatha, meaning the same, the Lord of all 5 elements. It is believed by crores of devotees from time immemorial that Dharmashastra took the incarnation or manifested as Ayyappa to kill Mahishi and take back the order of the world to Dharma. Ayyappa manifested himself as Manikantha in the forest, and the king of Pandala found him. The king who was ruling that Pandala kingdom, and he was living in, or he was staying, or he was leading a life of sorrow because he was not having a progeny. When he found the kid Ayyappa in the forest, he took it as a boon from the divine, and he took the baby to his house. And Lord Ayyappa, Manikantha, he grew in the palace as the prince, and of late the queen delivered another boy, and slowly the queen was disturbed inside her mind that this Ayyappa will become the king of the next generation. Then the minister and queen planned a plot to get rid of Ayyappa, but actually it was an occasion where Lord Ayyappa actually performed the purpose of his incarnation. And realizing the faulty place of queen and minister, and realizing Ayyappa is the real Lord, the king, queen and everybody, after realizing the greatness of Ayyappa, they worshipped him. And as we believe, Ayyappa asked the king, Pandala king, to make a place for his penance, and he himself selected a spot which is on the top of a mountain, and king built a place, a temple for his penance and performing austerities. And it is believed Ayyappa entered into the very being, or he dissolved into the being Dharma Shastra. And actually Ayyappa was an incarnation of Dharma Shastra. Ever since then, in the temple built by Pandala Raja, the king of Pandala, Ayyappa is being worshipped. From when we do not know, but from time immemorial, we can definitely say since many hundreds of years, Ayyappa is being worshipped there as a Naishthika Brahmachari, a celibate. And from the very beginning, it was the custom or the system in this temple that devotees who observe a vow of celibacy and other spiritual practices enters the temple, and that too after a practice of celibacy and all other connected austerities for 41 days. And it should be also noted that ladies were restricted from that temple. Restricted, that means there was a limited restriction. Young girls were allowed to go before attaining their puberty, and women after their menopause were also allowed to go there. That was the custom, that was the practice which was followed there. And in early days, people in hundreds used to go there and worship Ayyappa. Let me repeat, people in hundreds only. That too on the day of Makara Sankranti. After observing strict vows of celibacy and other spiritual practices. But of late, slowly and slowly, the number of devotees visiting Sabarimala increased. And it was not the case of Sabarimala alone. We can see from 1950s a gradual increase in the number of devotees who are going for temple worship. And it was in 1950 some antisocial elements or those elements which do not like Sabarimala to grow, or those elements who wanted to destruct or destroy the greatness of Sabarimala attacked the temple, and it was put to fire. The idol of Ayyappa was attacked, and a commission to inquire into that was formed under the DIG of the then Kollam district, Kesava Menon, and he submitted the report to the government. But even after 6 decades, that report has not been published officially or any action was taken. But now it is of no use because all parties concerned are not living anymore. But see, the greatness of Sanatana Dharma or Hindu Dharma is when you try to destruct this Dharma, it will rise 100-fold more powerful. That is why it is called Sanatana Dharma. A Dharma which will last forever, everlasting Dharma. And what we are seeing here is also the same thing. After 1950s attack, the temple was renovated and reinstallation ceremony was performed, and the tantris or the acharyas of the temple is from Taraman family. They performed the reinstallation ceremony, and after that reinstallation or Punapradishtha, we saw a wonderful change or an amazing change in the number of devotees. In the place of hundreds of devotees, thousands and thousands of devotees started coming there and worshipping. See, earlier Sabarimala was managed by Pandalam king, and later the forest area, including that Sabarimala temple and the premises, were handed over to Travancore, the king of Travancore. And in later days, that is in 1950s, when Travancore Devasam board was formed to manage the affairs of the temples in Travancore and Cochin, automatically this temple also was taken by Travancore Devasam board. And the system or all the customs which were followed there from time immemorial was of course followed. But see, when Hindu temples are managed by Hindus, whether kings or other families or committees or trust, it will be according to the belief, it will be according to the system that should be prevailed in a temple. But when it is controlled by the Devasam board, which is, even though it is an autonomous institution, it is under the control of the government. And government is selected through a process which is based on political affiliation and political policies. And those who are managing the temples are officers of the Devasam board. They are not devotees, or it is not supposed that they should be devotees. They are only officers of the Devasam board. So in 1950s, it came to the observation of Devasam board that the system which was prevailing for the last century, so many centuries, are being broken. And so the Devasam board, Travancore Devasam board, they notified a proclamation in 1955, August 21st, saying those Ayyappans, those devotees who are not observing the vows of celibacy and other austerities for 41 days, they must not enter the temple through Padinattam-padi. Padinattam-padi is a ladder consisting of 18 steps in front of the temple, and it is symbolizing 18 mountains, of which Lord Ayyappa is the Lord. And many scholars are saying these 18 steps represents both our Sukshma Sharira, that is subtle body, and Karana Sharira, causal body. Sukshma Sharira, subtle body, is consisting of 17 parts, including sense of organ, sense of knowledge, and pranas, vital airs, and mind and intellect. Causal body is ajnana, ignorance. So together makes 18. So we have to cross these 18 steps to have realization of God. That is the philosophy. So these Padinattam-padi, these 18 steps, are considered most holy, equally holy as Lord Ayyappa himself. So the Devasam board ordered, it was the custom prevailing from time immemorial that no Ayyappans without proper austerity and celibacy for 41 days are climbing this Padinattam-padi. But of late, some deviations came, and the order, in clear language, it says, from this day onward, to keep the sanctity and the holiness of the Ayyappa temple, no Ayyappans are allowed to climb Padinattam-padi without proper austerity and celibacy, and no women in the age group 10 to 15 are allowed to enter the temple. That was the order. And again in 1956, November 27, the same order was published again. So the age-old custom was so protected. We must understand this order came in the year 1955, October. But of late, some women or young women who are not supposed to enter the temple started going there with some influences, by influencing the officials or by influencing those in charge of temple. So many women went there, and it was noted by the general public, and one devotee named one Mahendran, he filed a petition. Actually, it was not a petition. He wrote a letter to the Honorable High Court of Kerala, and the Honorable High Court took it as a public interest petition and started a litigation. And after briefing the Tantri of the temple and so many scholars of Tantra Shastra and Veda, and after consulting so many Guru Swamis, the Honorable High Court of Kerala gave a judgment. And in that judgment, in black and white, it was said, no women in the age group of 10 to 50 must enter the temple. That means the earlier system or custom was again proclaimed by the Honorable Court, and the entry of ladies from the age group 10 to 50 was forbidden. So this was not an exclusion, because all women are not excluded. It is only a limited restriction, because young girls were allowed and elder women were allowed. Why this custom is prevailing there? See, the deity in a temple is a juristic person, and according to the rules of this land, this juristic person have constitutional rights. And as Lord Ayyappa is a celibate, he have the right to observe a special vow he has taken. It is his right. It is his right as a constitutional person. Ayyappa has the right to keep his own self-imposed vows. And if a man is sitting on a main road or a public place and says, no young ladies must approach me, there is no meaning in that. But here Lord Ayyappa is sitting on the top of a mountain in the midst of a dense forest, and he is saying, no young ladies, that is after their puberty and before their menopause, should approach me. It is his right. He has that right. And so that custom was allowed, or to put in precise language, proclaimed again by the Honorable High Court. And what we saw later is the number of devotees, which were in thousands, increased to lakhs and lakhs. Now it has come to crores. More than 5.4 crores of devotees visited last year. So the number of devotees increased. And slowly, especially in South India, this Sabarimala temple and Lord Ayyappa became mainly a protecting factor. Protecting factor means, especially when crores and crores of devotees started going Sabarimala, observing all the vows and austerities for 41 days, the religious conversions, especially in the seashore of Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, that declined, because people started observances. When that religious practice was there, the too strict observance of celibacy and all, those who are working for religious conversion lost their influence. That is the main thing. Another thing is, when people are believers and worshippers, the communism cannot creep into them. The base of communism lies in a type of atheism or agnosticism. So, to spread the tenets of communism, it is essential to break the belief system of people. So many, from so many facets, so many angles, so many movements started creeping in to distract Sabarimala, or to distract or destroy the sacredness of that temple and the belief system. So many problems came, like finding out the tail of a rat from the payasa offered there. So many. In 2006, a group of lawyers, Indian Young Lawyers Association, filed a petition in the Supreme Court of India. Actually, they were not knowing what Sabarimala is and what the customs or systems of Sabarimala are, without knowing anything. Just after seeing a newspaper report that after the entry of women into Sabarimala, a purification ceremony was conducted there, they thought this was an activity of gender discrimination. So, to remove the gender discrimination, they approached the Supreme Court, and the Honorable Supreme Court accepted their plea. And the division bench, consisting of 3 judges, started. And of late, that is after 11 years, the Honorable Court found that this is a matter connected with the Constitution, and the case must be transferred to a 5-bench constitutional bench, 5-member constitutional bench. And the constitutional bench, under the leadership of former Chief Justice, the decision or the judgment came on September 28, and it was favoring the plea. That is, the judgment allowed the entry of women of all ages into the temple. Actually, that judgment was not unanimous. Honorable Justice Indu Malhotra, in clear language, wrote in her judgment that the practice of religion or belief, religious belief, is not within the ken of judiciary, and the court must not interfere into religious matters as far as their belief and worship patterns are concerned. The court can enter definitely into the administrative matters as far as they are against the judicial or constitutional morality. But court cannot enter into the beliefs and practices of religions. But here what happened? The Honorable Court looked into the aspect of gender discrimination, even though there was no gender discrimination here. Here there was no exclusion. Here what was prevailing is only limited restriction. But the court took so and gave the judgment. Here we have to think a little. See, so many religious practices are there. Especially, the greatness of Hindu Dharma is unity in diversity. So many diverse practices are there. If we look into the practices of temples in Kerala, we can see some temples where main priest is women. For example, in Mannarashala temple, the head priest will always be a woman. No men are allowed to do the puja there. Is it a gender discrimination? No, it is a practice. From time immemorial it is considered if a sannyasi goes to a temple, it is a holy thing. But in Kerala there is one temple in Payyanur, Subramanya Swami temple, where the entry of sannyasis are prohibited or forbidden. No sannyasi can enter into that temple. And we can see a temple in Thiruvananthapuram, Attugal temple, where importance is given to ladies. During Pongala, no gents are supposed to do that worship. And in Kasaragod district of Kerala state, near Chengala, there is a temple in Padi village where women are prohibited to enter fully. Full exclusion is there. No women are allowed inside, whether a small girl or an elder woman. Nobody is allowed. Only men are allowed. And some temples are there where two groups of people will come in front of the deity and they will beat. So many practices are there. And temples are there where sattvic practices are being performed. In some other temples, rajasic worships, and some other temples, tamasic worships. So many patterns of temple worships are there. This diversity must be protected. This diversity is the greatness of Sanatana Dharma. And if some practice is there which is to be changed, that change must come from the system, not from outside. That means if some change is imperative in any system or any custom or any practice, that should be decided by experts of Tantra Shastra, Veda Shastra, and believers of the temple. It should not be changed by secular government or secular court. If secular court is jumping into the place of scholars, then there must be a common rule for all religions, because in no masjid of Sunni faction entry of women is allowed. Of course, in Jamaat Islamist temples and in the Mujahid masjids, sorry, not temple, masjid, women are allowed, but not to the main place of worship. And in Sunni masjid, no women is allowed. I am not saying against that custom. It is their right. It is the right of Muslim community to decide. But what I am saying is, court is not going inside and intervening in that. There is no priest in Christian religion from women. All priests are from men only. Why? Why court is not going and intervening? Court should not. I am not saying that court should go and give a judgment against the Christian belief. No, I am not saying that. But there must be a common rule for all. Why court is going in the affairs of temple worship and belief? If it is going, it should go to masjids and churches also. But it is happening. It is against the right of our belief. It is against the right of Hindu believers. But it happened so. The judgment came. Even though the judgment came, it was not final. There was scope for review petitions. There was scope for fresh writ petitions. And it happened also. So many groups, Hindu groups, gave review petitions, and some 49 review petitions were filed along with 4 writ petitions. The Honorable Supreme Court accepted all and posted for hearing these cases to January 22. But in the midst, what happened? Before giving a time for the judiciary to act, or without giving a chance or time to the believers to settle, the government of Kerala pounced and declared, we will facilitate the entry of young women into the temple. And during 5 days opening ceremony, which was in the month of Tulam, which corresponds to the middle of October, thousands and thousands of devotees started going there with fervor devotion to worship the Ayyappa. The government, with a huge police force, say thousands of police force, started taking young women, escorting young women, even putting that young women, those young women in the attire of police, uniform of police, which should not be done. They try to break the custom, try to break the serenity or the holiness of the temple. But what we saw, thousands and thousands of devotees chanting the name of mantra of Lord Ayyappa. They protested. They didn't protest with stones or sticks. They protested with Nama Japa. Japa. And in front of that Japa, the force of thousands of police and the arrogance of the chief minister, and of course the head of the police, DGP of Kerala Police, they were forced to retrace. And it was a temporary victory for the worshippers and believers. See, and again the temple opened for 2 days worship in the month November on 5th. And what we saw, was again a huge police force consisting of thousands of police personnel were there. And again they tried to disturb the age-old custom in Sabarimala temple. Actually, the serenity of Sabarimala temple was protected by these thousands of devotees, and the firm decision of Tantri Acharya to close the temple and perform purifying ceremonies if any untoward incident happened. The whole devotees in Kerala state and Tamil Nadu and Karnataka state were praying for the blessing of Bhagavan Ayyappa that no untoward incident happens in Sabarimala. See, then the Honorable Supreme Court took the review petitions, 49 review petitions, and posted that for hearing to January 22nd. Practically, the Supreme Court didn't give verbal stay on the September 28th judgment. Even though verbal stay is not there, factually it is like a stay. It is keeping the affairs in abeyance, because in September 28th judgment it was declared that women of all age group can go to Sabarimala. And in the present order of Supreme Court, in one of the order which is rarest of the rare in the history of Supreme Court, the Honorable Supreme Court has posted all the 49 review petitions to be heard in an open court. This is the rarest of the rare, because the order of the judgment of a constitutional bench being posted to hear in an open court is rarest of the rare. That means the Honorable Supreme Court has realized there were some anomalies in the earlier judgment. So in this situation, in this circumstance, the Kerala government must not try to take women into the temple, breaking the age-old customs, killing the beliefs of crores and crores of Ayyappa devotees. But the Kerala government is trying for that. Not only that, against the order of the Honorable High Court of Kerala, the government of Kerala, especially police under the DGP of Kerala, Loknath Behera, they are trying to kill the freedom of media to report what are happening there. Forcefully they have thrown away all the media persons from Sannidhanam, that too in the midnight, without showing any reason in return. See, democracy is being killed here. And what government is saying, the Chief Minister of Kerala is saying, we are not against the wishes or we are not against devotees or sentiments of devotees. We are only observing the judgment of the court. It is utter nonsense, because the Honorable Court has posted the same review petitions to be heard in the open court in January 22. So it is practically putting the matters in abeyance. What court order is there to observe? And we are seeing, or we are recognizing, that the government is not keen to obey the court orders. For example, there was a Supreme Court order as a final decision to decades-old case in a group of Christian believers of Orthodox Church. One church in Piravam town of Kerala state was given to one group. Even after so many weeks of judgment, the government is not acting. And the government of Kerala approached the Honorable Supreme Court and asked, as this is a matter of belief, we want some time to implement. So the case of Christians, that is a matter of belief, and when it comes to Hindu faith, it is not to be noticed or attended to. What is this? When the Honorable Supreme Court banned liquor shops in highways, national highways and state highways, what this government did? Instead of closing the liquor shops, they changed the name of highways to district major roads. See, when the Supreme Court ordered against two self-financing colleges in Kerala, Kannur Medical College and Karuna Medical College, the same government brought an ordinance to surpass, to transcend, or to make the court order meaningless. And the same government is saying we are obeying the rule of Supreme Court. No, this is not acceptable. This is just killing the custom old beliefs. This is clearly against the beliefs of thousands and thousands of Hindu worshippers. This is against the constitutional right of deity Ayyappa. This is against the rule of the land. So, we must understand what is happening here, and in the name of law, what is going is merely unlawful things. What we have to say is, even in this time, even though it is very late, the government of Kerala, especially the Chief Minister and the DGP of Police, have time to realize the factual situations and realize the sentiments of crores of devotees all over the world. This is not something observing the rule of court. This is just walking through the sentiments of crores of Hindus. So this is unacceptable. And one thing more I have to say is, during the proceedings of Honorable Supreme Court, there was an observation by Honorable Justice Chandrachud that before 1992 judgment of the Honorable High Court, women used to visit Sannidhanam, women used to enter the temple in Sabarimala. So there is nothing wrong in allowing women, young women, to Sabarimala. But see, here in our country, no motorcycle rider is allowed to ride without a helmet. No driver of a car is allowed to drive without a seat belt. But practically so many are riding, so many are driving without seat belt and helmet. It never means it is legal. It is illegal. Like that, When the order of Devasam Board was there, which was proclaimed in the year 1955, and it was not a fresh order, it was according to the practice which was observed from time immemorial. There was an order prohibiting entry of young women. That means women entered there, it was purely illegal. But court relied on that. It should not be. So, what we want to plead before the honorable court is to give the juristic right or a constitutional right to Ayyappa to observe his special type of celibacy and don't allow women to enter into the temple. Women, not all women of the declared age group, that is 10 to 50. And the government of Kerala must wait for the final judgment to come from the court. That is our prayer, that is our demand. And as we have the right to maintain, establish and run our temples and worship patterns, to protect our beliefs and customs, it is our demand that even though time is very late, even now the government of Kerala, especially Chief Minister and the head of the police, have time to correct their stand and be protectors of thousands of believers. Otherwise, the situation which will erupt in Sabarimala or other places of Kerala, if something untoward happens to protect the customs of Sabarimala, the sole responsibility will be with the Chief Minister and the head of the police. There is no doubt in that, because the happenings are very grave, and even now they are moving in the wrong path itself. Even now they have time, they can change, and they can accept, at least accept the belief, the heart, the prayers of thousands and thousands of devotees all over the world. So this is a short picture or a bird's eye view of the present problem which is prevailing in Sabarimala. So all believers must understand and respond accordingly. Om.